In the smoldering ruins of Sundari, where the once great capital of Mandalore lies shattered by imperial bombs and civil war, a figure stands amid the debris. Her armor is scarred, her hair streaked with dust, and her eyes carry the weight of 1,000 failures. This is Bo-Katan Kryze, heir to the Mandalorian throne, former leader of Deathwatch, Exile, and now the last hope for a people torn apart by centuries of division. For decades, Mandalore has been a planet of fragments, clans at war, sects clinging to rigid dogma, exiles scattered across the galaxy, all haunted by the ghost of a golden age and the trauma of the Great Purge. Leaders have risen and fallen. Satine with her dream of peace, Pre Vizsla with his hunger for power, Maul with his thirst for chaos. But none have succeeded in uniting the Mandalorians. They were either too idealistic, too greedy, or too cruel to bridge the chasms that divided their people. But Bo-Katan is different. She has been all of those things. A privileged heir who rejected her sister's peace, a radical who embraced violence to seize power, an exile who learned the cost of pride in the loneliness of the galaxy. Her journey is not one of perfection, but of evolution. A masterclass in how failure can forge wisdom, how pain can breed empathy, and how redemption is not a destination, but a choice made every day. Bo-Katan's true redemption isn't just a possibility, it's the only path to a sovereign, unified Mandalore. She is the only leader who has walked in the shoes of her people, who has known privilege and poverty, power and powerlessness, loyalty and betrayal. She understands the rigidity of the Children of the Watch and the pragmatism of the secular clans. She respects the traditions of the past while recognizing the need for adaptation in the future. She has made every mistake a Mandalorian leader can make, and in doing so, she has learned what it truly means to lead, not through fear or force, but through sacrifice, compromise, and love for her people. Join us as we dissect her complex journey, from the shadow of her sister's throne to the wilderness of exile, from clinging to the Darksaber as a symbol of power, to embracing it as a tool of service, from a leader who fractured her people to the only one who can mend them. Bo-Katan's story is not just about redemption, it's about the power of second chances, the courage to confront one's past, and the belief that even the most broken people can build something unbreakable. Mandalore's future hangs in the balance, and it rests in the hands of a woman who has finally learned to lead not for herself, but for the people she once failed. Bo-Katan Kryze was born into privilege, the second daughter of Duke Adonai Kryze, ruler of Kalevala, and a key figure in Mandalore's government. From childhood, she was surrounded by the trappings of power, Beskar palaces, loyal clansmen, and the weight of a legacy that stretched back centuries. But Bo-Katan was never content with the quiet life of a noble. She craved action, adventure, and the chance to prove herself as a warrior, a desire that put her at odds with her older sister, Satine, who dreamed of a Mandalore free from war. Satine Kryze was a visionary, a pacifist who believed that Mandalore's future lay not in battle, but in diplomacy, trade, and unity. She became Duchess of Mandalore and worked tirelessly to disarm the clans, establish neutrality in the Clone Wars, and build a world where her people could thrive without the constant threat of violence. But Bo-Katan saw her sister's vision as weakness. She grew up listening to the old stories of Mandalorians as conquerors, of the Mythosaur's roar, of the Mandalore who united the clans through strength, and she resented Satine for abandoning that legacy. To Bo-Katan, being Mandalorian meant being a warrior. It meant wearing armor, wielding a blade, and fighting for one's clan. Satine's peace felt like a betrayal of everything her people stood for. This resentment festered into radicalization. As a young woman, Bo-Katan joined Deathwatch, an extremist group led by Pre Vizsla that sought to overthrow Satine's government and restore Mandalore to its warrior roots. Deathwatch appealed to Bo-Katan's anger and ambition. They promised her a return to the old ways, a chance to see Mandalore rise again as a power to be reckoned with. Pre Vizsla, a charismatic leader and skilled warrior, recognized Bo-Katan's passion and lineage, and he quickly elevated her to his second-in-command. Together, they plotted to destabilize Satine's regime, using violence and fear to turn the people against her. Bo-Katan threw herself into the cause with reckless abandon. She led Deathwatch raids on Mandalorian settlements loyal to Satine, sabotaged diplomatic efforts, and even allied with the Separatists during the Clone Wars, all in the name of freeing Mandalore. She believed she was fighting for a just cause, that the ends justified the means, and that Satine's peace was a death sentence for her people. But her actions only fueled Mandalore's fracturing. The clans split into warring factions, those loyal to Satine, those aligned with Deathwatch, and those who fled the planet to escape the violence. Mandalore, once a symbol of unity, became a battlefield, and Bo-Katan was at the center of it all. The turning point came with the Darksaber. Forged by Tari Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi, the black-bladed lightsaber was a symbol of the Mandalore's rightful rule. To wield it, one had to win it in combat, a tradition that embodied Mandalore's respect for strength and honor. Pre Vizsla claimed the Darksaber as his own, using it to rally Deathwatch and declare himself Mandalore. But his reign was short-lived. He allied with Darth Maul, the Sith Lord, who had once terrorized the galaxy in a bid to defeat Satine. But Maul betrayed him, killing Pre Vizsla in single combat and seizing the Darksaber for himself. Bo-Katan, horrified by Maul's tyranny and the murder of her leader, refused to bow to the Sith. She fled Mandalore, becoming an exile once again, but this time with a newfound sense of purpose, to free her home from Maul's grip. In her desperation, she turned to the Republic for help, allying with Jedi like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. Together, they retook Mandalore, defeating Maul and his forces. In the aftermath, Maul gave the Darksaber to Bo-Katan as a twisted gesture of goodwill, believing she would fail to unite the clans. Bo-Katan accepted the blade, hoping it would give her the legitimacy she needed to lead. But she was wrong. The Mandalorian clans rejected her, arguing that she had not earned the Darksaber in combat. They saw her as an illegitimate ruler, a pawn of the Republic, and a traitor to Mandalore's traditions. Bo-Katan's dream of leading her people crumbled, and she was forced into exile once more. This was the lowest point of her rocky ascent. She had spent years fighting for Mandalore, but all she had achieved was division, bloodshed, and her own exile. She had let her ambition and anger blind her, failing to see that leadership was not about power or blades, but about serving the people. Her rigid worldview, her belief that there was only one right way to be Mandalorian, had fractured her people further, and she had no one to blame but herself. As she wandered the galaxy, alone and adrift, Bo-Katan began to confront the truth. Her past actions had consequences. The Mandalorians were divided because of her, because of Deathwatch, because of the endless cycle of violence she had helped perpetuate. Her journey from heir to heretic was complete, but little did she know it was only the beginning of a longer, harder path, one that would lead her to redemption.